on into the fourth episode of Rawhide's Mob presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. Today we'll have the head women's basketball coach Josh Pace and the head men's basketball coach Zane Gibson. But first we're going to give a recap of the Mustang events that happened over the weekend. Caleb Gutierrez is your Copies on the Run Male Athlete of the Week. Well, Taysa Powell is your State Farm Female Athlete of the Week. The volleyball team, football team, and women's golf team were all in action. Football team lost to Central Washington 24-13 after having a 13-10 halftime lead. Central Washington would go on to score 14 unanswered. That brings their record to 1-1. Alan Ortiz was rewarded Offensive Player of the Week. Tylen Coleman, the Defensive Player of the Week. And Adrian Zamudo and Kenny Way are your co-special teams players of the week. Volleyball team went 1-3 at the Conference Challenge weekend at Texas Women's University. The Mustangs were swept by Cameron, Texas Women's, and Texas A&M International, but managed to defeat Midwestern State 3-1. Madeline Cope is the player of the match against Cameron. Elena Moultrie against Texas Women's. Jasmine Walker and Zoe Chatterton against Midwestern State. And Jasmine Walker again against Texas A&M International. And finally, the women's golf team was in action at West Texas A&M International. Taysa Powell shot 3 over and tied for 9th. Alexandra Klemick finished 35th, and Chelsea Medina finished 40th. So I'm joined today by head women's basketball coach Josh Pace. Coach Pace, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. I can't complain at all. I appreciate you having me on the show. I've been hearing a lot about it.
Yeah, we've been trying to get this thing up and rolling for a little bit,
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about your upcoming season. What are you most excited for?
Well, we have a bunch of pretty good experienced players with a couple of young players sprinkled in, and we did a really good job of bringing in some more experience after this past year. We had a couple of student athletes that actually played in the NCAA tournament, got experience on the Division II level, so that's exciting. And just looking forward to a better brand of basketball, controlling the ball, controlling the pace and tempo a little bit more than we've done over the last couple of years. We're very excited to get on the court and show what we're going to be able to do.
So you're saying how would you say then your new recruits have kind of been adapting to life here in Silver?
Well, most of them got the opportunity to come this summer during their visits and see the school, see the area. And outside of that initial culture shock, I think they have bought into the culture that we're trying to do in terms of our team, to the culture that the city offers, and then just in general, all the other sports, all the other athletes, the non-sport students that are on campus. They're gelling and everybody's making friends, and that's really cool to see because all of that is important when it comes to doing what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish on this level, and especially in this conference.
All right, you want to talk a little bit more about the Lone Star, because all I've heard from Dakota is how great of a conference it is.
It's legit. I mean, I haven't seen a Division II conference like this to where every sport, for the most part, is high level. I specifically men and women's basketball. They're the teams that we have. They're in the Final Four. They're in the tournament every year. One specific team in our conference that we play against twice a year. They won 3 of the last 5 or 6 championships or something like that.
Yeah, didn't they lose last year to Glenville?
Yep, they did. And on the men's side, Coach Gibson will give you the background of the men's side, but it's very similar. So very important that the student athletes who come here are ready to come in and compete and understand that this isn't going to be a walkthrough. You're not going to have any easy games, any easy days, and I tell my student athletes that every day, and we work hard every day to prepare. We have 5 returners that were on the team last year, and we added 10. So we're looking forward to getting on the court, getting in the conference. We're doing the work every day. They are fighting through. I have a lot of experience coaching now and playing on a professional level, so I know how it's supposed to look and how hard you're supposed to work, and the girls that we have are buying in. Absolutely.
So, with that being said, is there any way you're expecting to make, say, a big jump from last year?
Well, I think Alina Simon, who was a sophomore last year, she's a junior. She's going to be better. I think Bria Reed, who was a freshman last year, didn't play that much, but you could see her taking some strides as well. We have a bunch of new players, student athletes, who are going to be really good. Kyra Paniora, a really good point guard, ball handler. She has to look for her shot a little bit more, but she will make plays for the other team. For our team, And Brooke Rogers, who was at Academy of Art, went to the Division II NCAA tournament last year, had 2 really good years there. Milan Tuttle, also from the Academy of Art, got NCAA tournament experience, so looking forward to them as well. We have Eliza Eliza, who actually transferred from Loyola Marymount, Division I transfer, about 6'3", 6'4", a nice size. So we've been working with her. Just a bunch of players, a bunch of student athletes who are going to make an impact in this conference, and I'm very, very excited about the season for sure.
So with that being said, what do you want this team's identity to be for this season?
We want to focus on us. One goal, which is to get better each day. One team, one mission. That's our motto for this year. And in terms of being a successful program, wins, moving the right way, having the right culture, you have to be together. Now, you don't have to necessarily be in love with each other or hang out every single day with each other, but you do have to have a respect and a pride when it comes to each other and holding each other accountable on the court. Coaches can only do so much when it comes to accountability, energy, all that stuff. And I tell our student athletes every day, I'm going to hold you accountable, but you're also going to hold each other accountable. I'll bring energy, but it's your job to bring energy every day in practice and in individuals, regardless of how tired you are, or how many classes you got, or any of that. This comes with the territory, and this is going to prepare you for after college. So definitely looking forward to everything that's coming this year for sure.
So would you say when you're recruiting somebody, selling them the life that you're going to teach them the life after college and all that, is that like one of your big recruiting points?
It's absolutely important. It's absolutely important. And Dr. Shepard always makes that point in terms of our athletic programs, that he wants us to win and be successful. But it's so much more important for him that they take care of their business in the classroom, get their degrees and keep it moving, because after college, it's the real world, and the real world is unforgiving. You have to be tough and fight through and deal with adversity. So that's absolutely one of my pitches in terms of recruiting. Some of my experiences being able to experience winning a national championship in college, played professionally overseas for about 10 years in different countries over the world, traveled the world, got good experiences like that made me want to coach, that helped me get to the point to where I am. So, I don't claim that I know everything, but I do know a little bit when it comes to, moving the right way and taking care of your business and, just knowing how to act.
So you got two new assistants this year, Richie Willis and Charlize Jenkins. How have they been impacting the team so far?
They've been doing an excellent job. They're all in terms of what we're trying to do, and in terms of just what I need from them. It's been very, 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 very good to have them, because last year, I didn't have an assistant coach.
I heard about that.
He ended up leaving right before the season started, which is understandable. I get it, but I had to kind of do some things and move around and take care of business, which is no problem. Where I'm from, we don't have any excuses. We keep it moving. But I took care of business, with a grad assistant and our team, and we did a really good job of making sure everybody was good, and it didn't stop anything from happening. We kept it moving, and had a pretty solid year off the court. We'll get the wins, but off the court, I think we moved the right way, and everybody grew into their roles, and we did really good in terms of academically. So, but Coach Jenkins and Coach Willis, they bring experience. Coach Willis actually coached a pretty prestigious high school program for a few years before he coached at Academy of Art last year. He also helped that program get to the tournament last year. And Coach Jenkins, she's coming from Florida. She played professional ball as well. Went to a HBCU, Hampton University. So they both come with their own experiences and the things that they've been through to help the program and help the team. And everybody is fitting in, and we're working and we're grinding.
All right, so if I'm not mistaken, you started here as the associate coach, right? Associate head, my mistake.
Yes, sir, you good.
So how was that transition going from there to the actual head coach?
It wasn't a hard transition. I didn't know that I would get this opportunity. I had just came from a program to where Pepperdine University, I was there for 4 years, and we basically started with Delisa Milton, who was the head coach. She's the head coach now at Old Dominion. She turned the program around. She was the head coach for 2 years, but I was there for 4 years, and then my second year as an assistant, she came on as an assistant. So she's like my sister now. We kind of came up together, and I helped her, figure out what she needed to do or wanted to do. Gave her my ideas and things that I had been through the year before, right when I retired. Fast forward, that next year they hired her as the head coach, and she kept me. So my last 2 years, I was up under her as an assistant coach. And she turned that program around in 2 years. We went to the WNIT, 20 wins, best season that Pepperdine's had in years. We had the WCC Player of the Year, West Coast Conference Player of the Year. So, we made some strides. So I got that experience, came out here, was planning on coming and, getting the associate head coach title and going for there. And then after the year ended, it just kind of worked out, and I got the opportunity.
So not everybody knows this, but you won a national championship with Carmelo Anthony, which is a household name at this point
Yes.
at Syracuse. So what was your time playing alongside Melo and playing for Coach Boeheim at Syracuse?
Well, it was such a crazy experience with Melo because he was so humble, really good dude. We moved around as a team on and off the court, but in terms of basketball, I had never seen anybody like him. 6'8", 240, 250. He was probably out of shape that summer coming into the school year. But it's one thing. I got one story that I always tell. So when I was coming in as a freshman, the seniors and juniors, they would bring all the younger players, the freshmen and sophomores, into a gym. No coaches, nobody around. And they'll say, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play open run. We're just going to hoop hour and a half, 2 hours. We're just going to play. But they set it up to where the seniors are on one team, the seniors or juniors against the freshmen and sophomores. So they're basically, what they're doing is seeing if you can hoop, if you can play, but also showing you that we know you're a good player and you're a freshman and you're coming in with all these accolades, but this is our show. You're going to have to figure out a way to fit in. So, in those runs, I did my thing. I held my own. I gained their respect, but my freshman year, I didn't play as much as I wanted to. Most freshmen can say that. I get Coach Gibson will be able to add on to that. But most freshmen can say that. But I did contribute when I had my opportunities, and I had a really, really good, really decent freshman year in terms of the minutes that I got. So fast forward, next year, Melo comes in, Jerry McNamara comes in, two really good freshmen. So now I'm a sophomore, but I'm one of the upperclassmen. So, we set it up the same way. And we all knew who Melo was, McDonald's All-American, all of that. But, you're not going to just come in here and just walk in and take it. You're going to have to earn it. So we put him on one team. We had the upperclassmen all on one team. And after that day, we knew, without the coaches even being around, like, this dude is just special. He's something different. So that evening, all the players that were here before they came, we was like, hey, we're going to have to just roll with him. We're going to just ride out because he's bigger than you, he's faster than you, he has better basketball IQ than you, better shooter, just everything. He's just better. He's just one of those ones that God gave the talent to, and it was cool to see that, going into my sophomore year, because the next year we won the championship, and he was a freshman. He was our best player. He was the most valuable player in the tournament, all of that as a freshman. But that also lets you know how good our team was. And that was a really, really good experience. But that's one of the stories that I tell. He, just like how people see LeBron, Melo was like that too. He's not LeBron, obviously, but back then he was seeing him play and going against him every day. I had never seen anything like that.
All right, so just kind of branching on that, what was Coach Boeheim like then? Because he's obviously this legendary college coach.
Absolutely, and Coach Boeheim, really good coach. He he taught me how to be loyal. He's still at that program right now, coaching. He played there. He was a grad assistant. So it was really cool to see, the work that he put in to get the program to where it is now. We only have one national championship, but when you hear Syracuse, it's consistent with one of the better programs in the country every year, obviously. So just playing for him, I knew like he's gonna yell at you, he's gonna curse at you, but if you show every day that you're willing to fight and compete, and you're gonna go after every ball, and you're gonna hustle, and you're not gonna back down, you'll be fine with him. And the one thing that he respected about me was he knew that I was gonna come in and compete every day, regardless of the situation. Regardless of him knowing that I'm mad because I'm not playing, I'm still gonna come in there and try to show that I'm one of the better players on the court. Now, if you weren't like that, he'll yell at you and curse at you, and he's gonna build you up to get you like that. I was one of the players that he didn't have to curse at. I got cursed at before once or twice, like early on, but after that, it didn't happen. But he, legendary coach, very smart, really good at recruiting, knows his strengths in terms of what he wants to teach. Obviously, he sticks to the zone. We've been playing that zone for about 40 years now. He's still playing it, and he comes out of it when we're in trouble. But it was cool to know, like, when we did come out of it, I was one of the ones that guarded the best player in man-to-man or was at the top of the press. But really good coach, legendary, and obviously you see all the wins that he got, and he's a Hall of Famer, and I'm very proud to have come under his umbrella.
All right, Coach Pace, last question for you today. If you're talking to somebody, like it could be a new recruiter, anybody that's not from Silver City, what's something that's kind of a must do while they're here?
Well, going to the Gila is really cool. I've experienced that, to see where the mountains are carved out, where the Indians carved the mountain out. Um, that was really cool to see. And then just hiking, you riding bikes. Um, the green chili was a surprise to me. I never had that, and
I've never had it either.
it's really good. I love spicy food, but green chili, I was kind of like, what is that? But I had it, I've tried it, and it's really good. So that's something as well for the people, the foodies out there who like food and want to try something different. But just a beautiful little city, hiking, walking, getting out. We're surrounded by mountains. We get pretty good weather all year. So I just think overall, whoever's looking to come here, recruits or anybody in general, regular students, is a good experience.
All right, thank you here for your time.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
No matter what type of vehicle you're looking for, Hatch Toyota State Line, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram of Silver City has the vehicle that will fit you.
Welcome back into Rawhide's Mob, presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. I'm here today with head men's basketball coach Zane Gibson. So, Coach Gibson, how's your day going so far?
It's going okay. We had workouts this morning. We had one not real good group. We had one really good group. So that's kind of the life of coaching, man. You kind of your days and your moods are put off by kind of 18 to 22-year-olds, and that's always a very interesting dynamic. Our first group this morning needs to be better, but our second group, it did a really good job.
At least you had the second group finish strong, so you could be in a better mood.
That's true.
Because if it was the other way, you probably wouldn't be in the best mood right now.
No, you're right. I do try to always understand, and the best thing about athletics, at least early in the year, is tomorrow is always going to come. Whether you like it or not, good day, bad day, you've got to get on to the next day because it'll be here before you know it.
All right, so with this season coming up, what are you most excited about?
It's just the continued growth of our program. I took this job in maybe the worst possible time ever, right in the middle of the pandemic. With our state being as locked down as it was, not being able to play any home games, having to play all on the road, we had to opt out of the conference. I didn't get to recruit at all on the road, had to do everything virtually. And then kind of from there growing into what we did last year and the strides we took and then the continued strides I think we will take this coming year. It's just to continue to watch our guys develop, grow, and watch our program continue to rise is what I'm most excited about.
I'd say you're pretty lucky you got to at least play those road games.
Yeah, Coach Pace wasn't as fortunate just because of randomness as far as when maybe he had a positive test or the team they were going to play had a positive test. Even though it had its trials and tribulations, I thought it was great for me personally. As being a young head coach, I'm still a young guy, but getting the job at 29, it helped me. Everybody tells you it's different, 6 inches down the bench into that different seat, and sometimes you brush that off and you don't really acknowledge it, and it is. It really is, and so if for nothing else, that year really helped me develop as a better coach, I believe.
Yeah, I was so where I'm from, our Division II conference is the PSAC.
Mm-hmm.
So the PA one. There's only 2 teams that got to play that COVID year, and it was Gannon and Mercyhurst.
Yeah, no, it was, Eastern unfortunately didn't get to play at all. Some teams in our league played, 7, 8 games. Some played 20, 21 games and really didn't seem that different. Just because of our state, guidelines, it definitely made it harder for us. Obviously traveling cost money. So yeah, we were limited, but I'm still happy that we were able to go through it. I really am, because I think that probably prepares you for anything that you can kind of come across in your coaching career. Hopefully, I'm hoping not to go through a pandemic again throughout the rest of my career, but you never know.
Yeah.
And again, as being a young guy who'd never done it before, I thought it was great for me as personal growth, and I think it really helped our team because we were able to, Amarian was here, Tony was here, Ian was here, Ben, Andy, Ola, those guys. We were able to start putting the foundational blocks of our culture, which again I think really helped us last year.
So you got a new class of recruits that came in. What's your first thoughts on what you've seen so far of them?
Yeah, they're talented. They're talented individuals. We're going to be bigger, longer, more athletic, probably skilled than we've been. We signed 6 Division I transfers and a Division II guy who had won a national championship at Ferris State 3 or 4 years ago. And so he understands the level of play of which you have to compete at if you want to play at that level. Now, in saying that, we've got a lot of work to do. Those guys have to learn how to play with each other. Those guys have to learn that there's, one ball, and that we have to share it. And that if we all need to sacrifice for us to be a better basketball team. And the main thing is to play together and to play to win. And so we've got a lot of growth to do in those areas. We are making strides, but definitely there's a much higher talent level ceiling, however you want to phrase it, walking around the men's basketball program right now. But I played versus some really talented teams that didn't put it together and they didn't win. And so we've got to do a great job of putting it together, or we'll just be this talented team who underachieves.
That reminds me of the COVID year of Duke. They had that talented team in 2020 that just never put it together.
Yeah, no, I mean, it happens. I'm not going to point teams out, but when I was a player at Middle Tennessee under Kermit Davis, we were fortunate enough, we won 4 championships in the 5 years. I redshirted as a freshman, and so I was there as a player for 5 years. And I did not think we were the most talented team in the league 2 of those 4 years we won the championship. I thought we were better 2 of those years. I just thought there was nobody as good as us. But the other 2 years I thought we won the championship because our chemistry, our culture, our togetherness was better than everybody else's. I did not think we were just head and shoulders better on the floor, but everything else, those intangibles, the things that Tim Tebow got revered at Florida and other great leaders like that through the sports that maybe aren't as talented as you want, but they just find a way to win. That's what we did, and that's what our team has to do this year. We can't rely on talent because talent alone won't get the job done. We've got to buy into those other things that make you a really good basketball team.
So like the little bit of like the dirty work and all that, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta play hard. You gotta be competitive. If you're really talented and the other team plays harder than you, I'll take that team every day. I'll take that team. If you were going to ask me who's going to win, I would take that team 7 out of 10 times. Your talent will only raise you, those few times. Now, if you have a team that plays really hard, is really competitive, and they have talent, then you have something. So that's where we've got to get.
Okay. So you say that's what your team's identity then? That's kind of what you want it to be?
Yeah, again, not to hit too much on my past, but just I played for Kermit Davis, and if you weren't a tough guy, you never touched the floor. If you didn't guard, you never touched the floor. And that's kind of who we have tried to be since I've got here. This is obviously going into my 3rd year. We want to be the toughest, most competitive team on the floor. If you do that, you give yourself a chance. And that's why last year I think we were able to beat, NCAA tournament teams like Angelo and Commerce, and honestly should have beat DBU on the road. Because we were competitive and tough. We might not have been as talented as those teams, but we were competitive and tough. And so if you're a competitive, tough team, if you're a competitive, tough individual, you just give yourself a chance. You give yourself a chance every single night, and that's what we want to do. And then hopefully we let our talent take over at the end after we've competed all night long.
So kind of going back to your Middle Tennessee days a little bit, you made it to the round of 32 the 1 year, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was awesome. I was at Middle for 7 years under Coach Davis, and we went to 3 NCAA tournaments, 2 as a player and 1 as a coach. We beat Michigan State when I was a graduate assistant there. When honestly they were one of the odds favorites to win. They had Denzel Valentine. They were really good. We beat them in St. Louis. I also got beaten in the tournament, and that's what happens. As a sophomore, we played Matthew Dellavedova's St. Mary's team, and he carved us up. And I know you just talked to Coach Pace about, Carmelo Anthony, and Matthew Dellavedova's nowhere near Carmelo Anthony, but when you play those guys that become NBA guys for a long period of time in college, they're just different. They're just absolutely different.
Dellavedova was that big role on that Cavs team in the championship too, backup point guard. I mean.
No, and it shows you why. He was really, really good. But I'll tell you what, for about 24 hours, we were the talk of the country, and that's so neat. And I wish everybody gets to experience that. Upsetting them. The coverage in the NCAA tournament, they let the media come into your locker room before your practice. They give you 30 minutes on the court the day before the game, and then normally you'll take your bus and you'll go somewhere else to do your scouts and stuff like that you don't want at your open practice, because it's an open practice. Like, fans can come in, media. And before we played Michigan State, it's more than normal because it's an NCAA tournament game, but it's nothing absurd. The day after we beat Michigan State, you couldn't stand in our locker room. I walked out of the locker room because there's so many cameras and so many people trying to talk to, every individual. Everybody in the locker rooms get interviewed. To your managers, they're asking them questions, and then the people that were at our practice that day was unbelievable. It truly was a neat experience. Speaking of Coach Pace, and Syracuse actually beat us in the next round. But it was an unbelievable experience that I really do wish that everybody gets to have at least once in their playing or coaching career.
So, and everybody on your team, who are you expecting to make a big leap coming into this new year?
I would tell you that I hope they all do. I think that's part of what our skill development does. Early on right now, I've been really happy with Amarian Cash, how hard he's working right now and competing. He has not missed a beat from our spring workouts. He's done some really, really good stuff. Tony was an all-league player last year. Coming back this year, we would hope he'd take another leap. But right now, I would tell you Amarian has had a great early fall. It's a long way to go. I've done this long enough. I tell my staff, which is not very big right now, but we will get bigger when we meet. Guys got to get in shape. That affects play. Guys got to get comfortable. That affects play. We don't have guys here in the summers like you do in Division I, where you work them out for 8 weeks in June and July. And so there's a lot of still trying to figure out who they are and how they're most successful. And that even goes to our returners and them making a jump. They just played with the nucleus last year that's different now. So trying to find where they fit and where they can be effective is a new process for our returning guys and our new guys. And so we're still going through that right now.
So going back now on your staff, you got a new grad assistant, Jeremy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you just hired a new assistant coach, Jared Drake.
Yep. So
how so far? I know Coach Drake's only been here about a week. How have they been impacting the team?
They've been great. We've been fortunate to have some really good assistant coaches here. Or I think at least some really good coaches here and some graduate assistant coaches here, and they've moved on to some better opportunities. That's a really exciting thing for them. That's kind of part of the business. But we've done a good job going back to our network. Jeremy, our graduate assistant, got here about 2 weeks before school opened up, and he's really tried to get his feet on the ground. He's done a great job. He came from Central Arizona Junior College, had never been at this level, but has really just hit the ground running. He's done a phenomenal job, really picking up the slack until Coach Drake got here, because it's amazing how many responsibilities you can have. He probably didn't know what he was walking into with us not having an assistant coach here. But he's done everything I've asked, and he's worked extremely hard. Coach Drake comes from a lot of guys in the business that I know and trust, and they just talked about how hard he works. And we kind of going back to our team, we want them to be relentless workers, competitive, tough guys. That's how our staff has to be. We're not at Louisville or Duke or Syracuse. Now, we brought them up 10 times during this interview. And if you look at their staffs, I saw a picture of Coach Musselman at Arkansas and his staff, and there's 12 people there. I mean, they've got their assistants, their head coach, and they've got special assistant to this, Drobo to that, you know, blah, blah, and they got 12 dudes, and we got 3. And I know that what I tell my guys is we have to do the job of 12. Even if Arkansas's got 12, that's great. If New Mexico State's got 8, that's great. We have to do the same amount of work that they're doing between the 3 of us, because we have to make sure that our guys are taken care of in all aspects. You know, we've got to make sure that we're staying on top of them academically, that we're staying on top of them socially, that we're, you know, we got to do the laundry some nights. That is what it is. But we want our guys to feel like that they're taken care of, and that their jobs are to keep their life simple, which is doing, you know, academics, being a good person, and then basketball.
So kind of going back on your life, I was informed by Dakota you welcomed in a new baby over the summer.
I did.
So how has that been now, being a parent with a new child and being a coach at the same time?
Well, everybody adjust. You adjust in life. If you want to be good, and I want to be a great dad, and I want to be a great coach. Nothing's changed. I've wanted to be a great coach since I started doing this. I've wanted to be a great husband, which I try to. Maybe Teal would disagree with that. I try to be every day, and it's the same with Hutch, my little 12-week-old tomorrow son. Is I still want to be a great dad, so I drop him off at school every day, you know, and some days I pick him up, and when I go home, I try to make sure that I'm present. Those are things I've learned from some people throughout the business. Is you got to leave work at work, and so I try to do, whether we have a good practice or a bad practice, like we've kind of talked about earlier today. When I go home, I don't want Teal to ever know the difference. She will ask sometimes, but I don't want her to know the difference. I want to be present when I'm with her and when I'm with my son. I want to be present with him, and then when I'm here with the guys, I want to be present with them. And I don't like when people say that they can put limits on you or you can't be great at all. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why you can't be a great athlete, a great student, a great person. You see it all the time. You see, you know, Steph Curry's a great example of that. Just got his degree. I think he's a pretty good dude, and he's obviously a really good basketball player. So why can't I do all 3? And so that's something that I try to pride myself on, giving everybody in my life the most I can give them.
Okay, so this is your 5th year in the Lone Star, 3rd year as the head coach here. So what makes the Lone Star Conference so tough?
Well, the problem with the Lone Star as a coach is, one, you play elite teams. You know, Lubbock Christian was the #1 ranked team in the country, I think, almost every week last year in the polls.
I could be mistaken, but did IUP dethrone them the 1 week?
It could be. You know, they were like 31-2, something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they might not have been there, but for the majority of the weeks, they were #1. And they're not even the flag bearer of the league. That's West Texas for us. For Lubbock, the women have won 3 out of 5 national championships. West Texas in our league has been to, I think, 6 out of the last 7 Elite Eights, or 5 out of the last 6 Elite Eights, and they've been in the national title game 2 times and the Final Four a couple times, and they're kind of the flag bearer of the conference right now. And so you have those really, really elite teams. You know, a couple years back, St. Ed's, when they had August Haas and Ashton Spears, they were in the top 5 as well in the country. And so you have those teams that are at the top in the nation, and then we have such depth. You know, kind of like why the SEC is so good in football. It's not just the top teams. It's that number 7 through 12 is no fun to play. I mean, just absolutely no fun to play, particularly on the road in this league. And so that's what makes the Lone Star so hard. Is you could be playing the 9th place team, 11th place team in the league on the road late in the year, and they're almost impossible to beat. Texas A&M Kingsville is a great example of this. They were the 12 seed in the tournament this year. They were the last team in the tournament this year, and they ran all the way to the championship game in the Lone Star tournament, and punched their way into the NCAA tournament. And they were the 12th seed. I mean, they were like a game or 2 above us. They were the 12th seed, and that's, you know, you put them in the tournament, and they're good enough to go all the way to the finals. And that's kind of how our league is. It's just, there's no easy nights. There's no one you can circle on the calendar and be like, oh, we can get that one. No, it's every night. You have to prepare, and you have to come in ready to play every single night, or you will lose. And it's hard for our guys to understand that. It's hard for a lot of people to understand that. It's just, you have to have your attention to detail and your antennas up all the time, or you won't walk away with very many victories in this league.
All right. Well, last question for you today. It's the same thing I asked Paige. What's something that somebody from Silver City that's not from here has to do?
You know, I know he kind of used the word, and my sister-in-law used it. I'm a food person. I like to eat. And so, you know, like Adobe Springs, in my opinion, has an elite breakfast. I'm a huge fan of their stuff. You know, the Toad has really good stuff at night. Fry House and Q's and Mix. There's a lot of really good restaurants here that you just don't know of. You know, they're not name brands. You're not going to see a chili sign flashing and you just go there, or an Applebee's or something like that. You kind of have to do your research a little bit, but there are some really neat places to eat and hang out downtown, particularly, that I would tell everybody to go experience. So that's kind of how I would go. Obviously, Coach Pace talked about the Gila, and we are surrounded by some gorgeous areas. But not everybody's a hiker. But I do know everybody likes to eat at some point, something. And I think our town, our city has a little bit of everything. You know, Diane's or you know, Forest Pizza. It has a lot of different things that can pique your interest in the food department. So I would tell everybody just to take a little walk downtown and see something you like and go try it.
All right. Thank you for hopping on with me today.
I appreciate you having me.
If you've ever got a hankering for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, why don't you stop on down by Denny's, as we're open 24/7, and not to mention, it's Rawhide's favorite place to eat.
Jake Wetzel back here for the end of Rawhide's Mob. Little Mustang action coming up this weekend. The volleyball team will be in action on September 14th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. against Angelo State at Drags Court. The volleyball team will also have two more matches. They'll play at 6 p.m. at Drags Court against Texas A&M International on Friday. And then on Saturday at noon, they'll be playing again at Drags Court against Texas A&M Kingsville. Those will be your three volleyball games this week. Football plays on Saturday, home against Western Oregon at 6 p.m., where the men's and women's tennis teams will travel to Abilene, Texas to take on Hardin-Simmons University on the 16th and the 17th, so that's Friday and Saturday. And then on Saturday, the men's and women's cross country team will head off to the Texas Tech Open. This episode is presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. I'd like to thank Coach Pace and Coach Gibson for coming in and hanging out with me today on the podcast. This has been the end of Rawhide's Mob. #RareBreed.